Hi, I'm Mike Thompson, and welcome to episode 6 of Happiness. I believe that the following information is absolutely critical to you, and it will change your life. I'm going to share my secrets of happiness with you that have made me consistently the happiest person I know. Make sure to watch episode 1. It contains the most important lesson. This episode is about something that may seem counterintuitive. You should accept responsibility for your actions. I know that we all like to play the blame game and pass the buck. But when was the last time that really ever made you happier? Never. That's when. I'll guarantee it. You know deep down that you had something to do with it. Let me share a couple examples with you. I recently made a mistake at work. It was a communication error. Not surprising, is it? Communication is typically the number one problem in everything. Anyway, we were making some parts and needed to load the machine. As the managing engineer, I typically calculate how much material to load so that we can make sure that we have enough, but not too much. Both situations result in costly delays. Well, what I didn't do was make it clear that we were to use all of the first pallet and then 65 of the second pallet. Apparently, I only communicated the 65, and we ended up falling 27 short. Now, what I didn't do what most people typically do and use passive tense and try to pass the buck or pretend like something else happened or caused the mistake. I'm sure you've heard that before, right? Dad, the window broke. Dad, the hammer broke. The iPad got cracked. No, none of that passive tense crap. I hate that. I plainly said that I miscommunicated, and then I followed it up with this several times with the most powerful words in the English language. I'm sorry. By admitting my mistake and saying I'm sorry, I smooth things over very well. I take pride in being right, but when I'm wrong, I make sure to admit it and take responsibility for it. I felt awful at the time, but I left work that day feeling great. You know what? I actually told 2 other people about my mistake instead of hiding it. And you know what response I got? It's no big deal. Don't worry about it. Telling others about your mistake actually feels good. And you know what else? You sometimes hear, "Oh yeah, that happened to me once." Everyone makes mistakes, but you'll command more respect if you own them and share them so that others can learn from them. Like what I'm doing now. No one likes people who don't take responsibility for their actions, so don't be that guy. As far as responsibility goes, you also need to realize that on some level, you're responsible for everything in your life, even things that seem to just happen to you. Let me offer a couple of examples. Someone runs a red light and slams into the side of your car. His fault, right? Well, technically, yes. But are you saying that there's nothing that you could have done to prevent that accident? Well, how about if you had looked and simply read the traffic before you entered the intersection? You see, even though the guy doesn't have the leg to stand on legally, it still would have been better to avoid the crash in the first place, right? And you could have done that by paying better attention to the traffic. So you were at least somewhat at fault for the accident. Once you accept that fact, you'll actually be happier. Blaming others just adds to your misery. And that exact situation happened to me recently. It was still dark as I was on my way to work. I was watching the lights cycle, and I had timed it just right so that I would enter the intersection at about 20 miles an hour and as the light went green, and I wouldn't have to stop. But just as the light went green, I tapped the brakes and destroyed my fun because a sheriff in an SUV ran the red light without his sirens or lights on for no apparent reason. See how I just avoided that accident? Now I know that was a better situation than him slamming into me, even though he'd have been at fault. You can still be right and still be dead. Accept responsibility for your actions, and when you mess up, own it, apologize, and you'll be much happier. When I look back at everything bad that's happened to me, I realize that there are things I could have done to prevent the situations, and therefore, I'm at least partially to blame. And I feel better about it. Back in 2016, I had my first and only loss in a design competition. It was my first time at the World Championship Cardboard Boat Race. I had a boat already built the previous year, but I decided to go slightly more conservative and against my own advice about how to build the fastest boat. And so I put some small outriggers on it. Anyway, I was solo racing against a pair, and there were only 2 boats per race because it's a long, narrow, sweeping track. The gun sounded and we were off. I was on the outside lane about a half a boat length ahead through the first half of the race. And then suddenly, the back guy in their boat got out. And then the remaining paddler shot ahead of me and ended up winning by about 3 boat lengths. Now I was upset. This was my first defeat, and everyone I tell the story to kind of thinks that they cheated. But you know what? Had I done more strokes in the pool and trained harder, it wouldn't have mattered. I would have won anyway, and it would have been that much sweeter. But alas, I realized this as I crossed the finish line, and I didn't complain. I still finished first among losers. One other thing, though, that felt pretty cool was that their boat was built exactly like I recommend in my How to Build the Fastest Cardboard Boat series. So, I want you to give this a try. The hardest word to pronounce in the English language is sorry, but it's probably the most powerful. And if using it correctly makes you a better person. So use it when needed and with sincerity. Oh, and guys, if you leave a pen in your pocket, make sure you own it and apologize when the clothes come out green. That might have happened to me recently. Well, that's it. I hope this helps you guys out. I know if you apply this principle, it's going to make you happier far more often than not. So please subscribe. It's free. You'll be notified when a new video is out. Like, and most importantly, share this video so that we can make things better together. I'm Mike Thompson, and thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.